Hello everyone, my name is Precious Demitokladeinka and my presentation researches the topic of instructional leadership as one of the core elements of educational practice under the umbrella of UCAM for certification of Masters in Education. I would love to outline the role that professional experience and current studies can play in conceptualizing instructional leadership and its meaning on the quality of teaching, curriculum testing, and the learning outcome of students. Introduction and purpose. This discourse aims at critically discussing the nature of instructional leadership as its importance in leading to improvement in schools. As I'll use my teaching experience, I'll consider how the executive practices affect the classroom teachings. I will also present these thoughts within the framework of the known leadership theories and lawyer evidence, which will prove a research-based and reflective attitude to the instructional leadership. Now, what is instructional leadership? Instructional leadership is described as a planned implementation of leadership practices through which teaching, learning, and assessment take center stage in school improvement agendas. Unlike traditional administrative leadership, where leaders are concerned with bureaucratic operations, instructional leadership anticipates pedagogies, cohesion of curriculum, and teacher sustainability. It appreciates the fact that good leadership can be found in the classroom, and the teachers themselves are the central in influencing the learning experience of the student. Moving forward, why is it important? Why is instructional leadership important? It is consequential in that it has a direct impact in terms of the quality of teaching and learning in learning institutions. When the leader focuses on instruction issues, they create the common standard of pedagogical practice and learning outcome. So this orientation will promote collaboration, reflective practice, and continuous improvement, which are inevitable in the process of enhancing student achievement and maintaining high standard of education. Now, let's look at leadership and student achievement. If the leadership is sound, the students will be able to progress in their achievement. This research shows that leadership has both direct and indirect influence on student achievement. Instructional leadership can influence classroom practice through the promotion of evidence-based practices in pedagogy, as well as the successful use of assessment data. Leaders can be instrumental in making sure that instructional practices are consistent with both learning needs and academic goals of the student through systematic monitoring, feedback, and reflective dialogue. Moving forward, I would like to go with three theories. The first theory I'll be looking at is context responsive leadership. This insists that leadership practice ought to take into consideration the unique context of the school, the diversity of the student, institutional culture, and expectation of the community, among other variables, all enlighten the modalities of leadership that should be adopted. The instructional leaders who are effective are very acute in the identification of this situational determinant, and they modify their strategic options to support effective professional growth and improve instructional achievement. Let's take a look at the second theory. The second theory is school leadership models. Now, this leadership in teaching and learning take diverse organizational models of leadership that offer different views on leadership. Underpinning learning and teaching, instructional leadership is traditionally focused on the improvement of pedagogy and assessment, and transformational leadership predicts motivation, common vision, and professional relations. It is proposed that shared or distributed leadership arrangements are particularly effective since they place teachers as leaders and hold them as having collective responsibility to improve instructional outcome. Looking at the third theory is about leading change in schools. Instructional leaders often become change agents in education institutions. In order to effect the instructional change, it is required to grow the trust, mobilize the network of collaboration, and provide the teachers with long-term assistance. The effectiveness of change initiative should be the greatest when the teachers are viewed as important participants in the decision making. Instructional change can be improved on a long-term basis when it is anchored on a common vision and supported by the ongoing professional development. Now, leadership culture and commitment. Cultural influences at both national and local levels of schools are significant influences factors in leadership practices. Then, looking instructional leadership in practice, the professional itself in context. In professional practice, instructional leadership involves the correspondence between curriculum, teaching, and testing in order to support student learning. This practice involves lesson planning in groups, teacher professional dialogue, and sharing leadership. These are arrangements that help to create a conducive learning atmosphere where the quality of instruction is constantly checked and improved. Now, looking at the practices itself, what are the core practices of instructional leadership? The core has a core practices that involve classroom observation, administrating constructive feedback, and helping to facilitate differentiated instruction. Leaders also promote pedagogical practices that are reflective and which give teachers the power to evaluate their effectiveness and to identify areas that need improvement. This practice provides a culture of professional learning and teaching of excellence. Now let's look at pedagogy and assessment. It has significant impact on both pedagogical practice and the assessment practice. Now, formative assessment will be used to reveal the gaps in learning as well as guide the changes to the instruction. And finally, summative assessment would be applied to assess the overall levels of student achievement. In order to ensure that teaching methods are flexible to the needs and learning style of diverse students, instructional leaders support the idea of data-driven decision making. What are the common challenges in instructional leadership? The instructional leaders face a number of challenges such as resistance to change, time limit, managing heterogeneous needs of learners, and to solve such problem, one needs to communicate effectively, have networks, and continuously develop as a professional. The leaders will also need to strike a balance between instructional needs and administrative needs so as to perpetuate improvement initiative. Now, let's take a look at the future practice. My own reflection and future practice. A critical analysis of scholarly literature in leadership and my career experience has shown my strength and possible areas of improvement as an instructional leader. Additionally, I will consolidate the collaborative leadership practice, engage in a constant professional growth, and implement the research-informed strategy to continue to improve the teaching and learning outcome in the future. In conclusion, overall, instructional leadership is important in improving the quality of teaching, assessment, and student achievement. The teaching leaders can ensure sustainability school improvement by integrating leadership theory and reflective practice as a professional. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.